invite in Al Williams. He is the president of NCLGS, the National Council of Legislators from gaming states. I imagine you're in Georgia at this point, but I don't want to assume anything. Al, how are you?
Best day of my life, and I am in Georgia.
You're darn right you are, Al. You and I met in Puerto Rico at your winter meeting, which will be in your neck of the woods coming up here in Savannah, so I'm planning to make the trip down for that one. But before we get going on prediction markets and different things that you talked about at your summer meeting there, can you inform people what NCLGS is?
NCLGS is a national organization, a National Council of Legislators from gaming states. And our purpose is to make sure that gaming does everything it needs to do and none of what it is not supposed to do. We want to make sure that states maintain the sovereign power over gaming, and we want to be transparent. We want to make sure that things like addictions are properly addressed. We neither oppose nor favor gaming, but we make sure that it is done correctly wherever it's done.
He's Al Williams. He is the new president there of NCLGS, was just sworn in this summer. Your meeting over the summer included talks about prediction markets, and that's why I wanted to have you on to talk about those. Of course, when you cover sports, and frankly in my market as well, pari-mutuel wagering on the horse racing side, lots of questions around those things. What else came up over this summer, though, Al, that you found interesting at your most recent meeting in San Diego?
Well, we discussed problem gaming. We always do. We discuss some issues facing tribes, the tribal issues, because they're very important and an integral part of our organization. Yep. And we looked at the future of the market. What happens with all the changes? What happens with AI entering the market? We try to be proactive in any area that might help the states do a better job of regulating gaming.
He's Al Williams. He's with us from NCLGS, the National Council of Legislators from gaming states. I wanted to ask you very specifically here about these prediction markets, and let's set this up for why they may or may not actually be legal, because I think a lot of people that would argue in favor of prediction markets would say something like, hey, this is like buying or selling a stock. Selling an opinion like this is just something that I can own, and if someone's willing to spend money on it, I should be able to trade those things in a market. Why is this approach to the argument not correct, Al?
Well, it's not like buying stock, because there are regulations in the buying and selling of stocks. And the prediction market has no regulations, and it opens the door to allow it allows wagering on political, economic, sporting, as well as other real world events, the outcomes, and it creates an atmosphere that's ripe for criminal activity. And so we adamantly oppose it, and we ask the United States Congress to clarify the legal status of the prediction markets and establish fair and clear federal guidelines. This is what we ask, and we want to clarify that such markets that are a form of illegal gambling, and let's have some regulations. This is the domain of individual states, the sovereignty of the states, who have no say in this market, and the federal government has refused to take a stand.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, when we talked in December, Al, one of the things that came up, and you mentioned it already, with addiction or problem gaming is usually what, the term that I hear most often. Look, it's just not good for business if someone is a problem gambler, right? They're more likely to never go back.
Right.
And, it's just not good for business. Are you finding, as your committees study this and, the Spectrum Group and that sort of thing, are they finding that, that trouble gambling is exacerbated by these prediction markets?
No doubt about it. There are no regulations, and we had a young man who came and testified before us. His mother was with him, how he ran $40,000 worth of debt on his mother's credit card, and he started at 11 years old. And when you don't control these things, then you put a black eye on gaming throughout the world. And this is a real problem. And the Commodity Futures Trading Commission has to act and cease treating politically and sports-oriented prediction market as legitimate financial institutions exempt from gaming regulations. That is absolutely absurd.
Talking with Al Williams, he's the president of the National Council on Legislators from Gaming States. Talking prediction markets with him. Another thing that has come up in recent sessions that you've had is iGaming, and obviously we've been betting on our phones for a long time. Frankly, in the state of Kentucky and other places, been betting on our horses for a long time on our phones. So I imagine a lot of my listeners are familiar with wagering on their phones and are also poker players. At some point have probably logged on in their history and found that their favorite poker site no longer exists or their own accounts on those places have been wiped out. If you had to give the extended elevator talk on this, what would your general thoughts on iGaming be?
I think that iGaming has a future in America. I think that certainly we need to even get better control over the regulatory aspects of it. But it should be a state's call. And it's very obvious that it's very popular. Yep. It's obvious that people want to use it. And I think that if a person wants to participate, they should be allowed to with proper regulations and oversight. I have no problem with iGaming.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the market when you talk about it from a regulatory aspect. And obviously, like you've said, a couple of times here, you want this to be a state's kind of decision. Obviously, in certain places, our neighbors at West Virginia have all of the access to iGaming, that sort of thing. Less here in Kentucky, for example. But when you imagine the iGaming moving forward, is it more than just the poker kind of thing? Could it be a casino kind of setup as well, as long as it's regulated in your mind?
Very possibly. I am a proponent of not just iGaming, but casinos also. Casinos because of the economic impact.
Right.
And the regulations are able to be enforced. Whenever I hear excuses about what can't happen, you cannot convince me that a country that can take a picture of the other side of the moon can't control cell phone traffic.
It's a fair point by Al Williams. He's the president of the National Council of Legislators from Gaming States, talking about gambling issues or wagering issues with him. I need a favor from you, Al, because when we talked in December, we brought up the fact that there is no, the gaming is very limited in the state of Georgia. Are you simply a state lottery state? Is that what Georgia is at this point?
Right now, we are just a state lottery state, but the question will come up in January, I'm sure. And over 70% of our population has said, let us vote. And that means vote on a constitutional amendment to allow gaming in Georgia.
So I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyway. An organization like Nickel G's, that's the process that they would support, right? Is that the people of Georgia are interested in this, so let's go ahead and go to a vote that way for the individuals who reside in Georgia, yes?
Of course. Let the people vote. Let's for once get the politicians out the way and let their constituency decide whether or not they want gambling in Georgia. If they don't, end of question.
Right.
If they do, we need to set up the proper regulations and make sure it's done as good or better than any place in the United States.
All right, Al. So if you get this all set up, you've said that you want a certain number of casinos, but you see it largely, frankly, from your vantage there as a representative in the Georgia House as something that is an infrastructure project, right? That is an economic project as far as people getting jobs and getting benefits, et cetera. That's largely how you approach this. Is that right?
I certainly do. I don't want to see a proliferation of casinos or anything else. I think that this state, over 11 million people, I think a number of 5 to 6 would maximize how many casinos I think would be comfortable, where every corner of the state would be covered, particularly those that have adjoining states like Florida and South Carolina, North Carolina, et cetera, where people can come and we can reap the tax benefit that many states are now reaping from Georgians who go all over the country to visit casinos and to place wagers.
All right, so you get these casinos rolling. I need a favor, Al. I need you to get pari-mutuel wagering these thoroughbreds. I need people in Georgia betting on these thoroughbreds, buddy.
I grew up watching fine horses, none as fine as those excuse me, that you have in Kentucky. But I'm a horse lover.
Well, let's get that done. All right, so this trip to Savannah, talk to me about this. Why am I going down to Savannah? What do people need to know about Savannah?
Because it's probably the greatest city in the country. I'm a little biased, of course. But it's a great tourism city. It's a destination city. And we have great accommodations, unbelievable food, and the people are really, really good. So you come to Georgia, and I only live 20 minutes from the proposed site, so I'm a little biased here.
Make it a little easier for you. I wanted to ask, Al, because this is a Savannah question. We're going to go way off the rails here at this point. But in Louisville, we're really fortunate. We have what's called a parkway system. And so we have these sweeping streets that lead to parks in our town, and they were designed by the Olmsted brothers who did Central Park in New York. And so if you go to these different parks in Louisville, we have a Central Park that frankly looks like a mini Central Park from New York City, and we have like Shakespeare in the Park there. It's really lovely, frankly, these kinds of spots. What is it called? Did someone in Savannah design that walking route that you can take where you're essentially under trees in the shade, but it sort of connects all the parts of the city? Was that an individual, or was that just the city coming up with that?
When Oglethorpe drew out the city of Savannah, he drew those out at these squares. These are squares. All over. You can walk the entire, and it was just a mark of genius.
It is.
But it's been like that, and it is really the reason that Georgia has reached, that Savannah has reached the pinnacle of tourism because of the access.
It's incredible. If people haven't been, just go. Prepare to get a little sweaty because it's Savannah. Not a lot of people.
I'm sweating right now.
It's a little sweaty. You'll be okay. You get a little sweaty. You'll be all right. But yeah, go walk Savannah. It's unbelievable. Great town. So we will see you there in December, Al. Appreciate you jumping on the program. Looking forward to seeing you as well. Be well, and we'll see you in a couple months.
Thank you.
There you go. Al Williams from the National Council of Legislators from Gaming States.